This is going to be a story of a Longlines Tower. Now, this isn't just an ordinary sad story of what happened to an AT&T Longlines Tower. So what happened to this Longlines Tower is kind of sad, but it's not sad at the same time. So believe it or not, but in 2007, there's this Longlines Tower at the big building below it, like a brick fallout shelter building, and they had to take this building down so they could make room for houses and stuff. But they actually kept the Longlines Tower there by making the station smaller, so you guys know what I mean when I show you a map picture of it. So this is an old 1960s picture of people taking a tour through the station, and where that tall tower is in the background, there's actually a guide tower there. But the guide tower got taken down in 2007 when they wanted to put up the houses where this is at. So here's an early 2000s picture of the station when they was still removing the horns on the Longlines Tower. So those were the last two they took off. And there's the guide tower that stood where that three-leg tower was. So this is another early 2000s picture, and you can still see the Gabriel horn antennas about halfway up the tower. So today the tower has a dual strobe, and the guide tower got taken down because the guy wires were actually in the way of where they wanted to put up the new houses. So yeah, the Longlines Tower still remains today, but in the middle of a bunch of houses. So there's all the new cell phone antennas they put up on the tower after they redid the station and took the horns off of it. So this is a picture of them taking the horns off the tower. This was before they took the building down. But yeah, this all happened in 2007, was when they were demolishing the building and keeping the Longlines Tower there. But yeah, so I'm kind of happy they kept the Longlines Tower, but sadly it's not the original stuff that's below it anymore. So this is another picture of them taking the horns off the tower. So I kind of thought that this entire tower was taken down, but someone had a story of what happened to it, and I found it on Google Maps a long time ago, and they actually did still have the Longlines Tower. So it's good to see it's still there, but it doesn't have the horns anymore. Now, in one of these pictures, you can see the beacon set up on the Longlines Tower before it got a dual strobe, the FH324. So this is a horn, the size of the horn antennas compared to a person. And this is before they took them apart and scrapped them. They were aluminum and they weigh about 2 tons. So imagine trying to pick one of them up, but you can't. And those things are also hollow, so I don't know how they could weigh 2 tons, but are made of aluminum and they're hollow. So they put a lot of work into those horns if they made them out of aluminum, and they're like 2 tons. So there's the horn going off the tower, and there's the beacon setup I was talking about. If you guys know what beacons those are, I think the bottom one's in old school incandescent. I think the top might be KG225. So if you guys know, please let me know or something, because I don't know. I do know it has an FH324 now. That's what its present beacon is. And there's the horn going down when they took it off the tower. So yeah, there's the people trying to take it and lay it on the ground so they can take them apart later and haul them off to a scrapyard. But it sucks how it's still there. But well, I mean, it is good that it's still there, but sucks that it doesn't have its horns. But I almost thought, before I read the story to this, I almost thought the entire tower was taken down. So yeah, I just found out about it until I seen it on Google Maps. And there's the other picture of the horn laying on the ground and one going down. Now there's a picture of the cable trays where the waveguide would go out to the building and up on the towers. Now on the very top of the picture is wires there for cell phone antennas, because they use the tower. And there's another picture of the horns going down. And there's where they splice the ropes together with the gin poles and ropes and pulleys. Now this is where they started the demolition on the building. So that's 2007 pictures of the demolition and all the debris everywhere. So yeah, this is where the demolition comes into action on the building. Now they slashed off all the cell phone wires where they go into the older building. And since this Longlines Tower is still here today, they put a new shelter building below it just for the cell phone antennas only. Oops. Oh crap. So anyways, this demolition is where this took place at. And there's some more debris pictures I'd like to show you guys about this. So these are all screenshots from the website I found this at. But yeah, they had a lot of brick and rebar everywhere because these were meant to withstand a nuclear explosion 5 miles away from the site. So here's the tower on Google Maps today. Now those red spots where I had to blur out the addresses. So you can see why they had to take down the building and the guide TV tower to make space for houses. But yep, the tower is like in the middle of everything now. The poor Longlines Tower. So there's a 2019 street view of the tower, and I noticed the top antenna on it, like this part right here, was a 3-legged antenna tower in the older pictures. They sometime, probably like around 2010 or 2007, they must have replaced it with the 4-leg tower. And because the top of it looking like that kind of reminds me of the Jacksonville Longlines Tower, although the one in Jacksonville only has 1 platform. But this one's got 2 of the horn platforms on it. It kind of has the same catwalk though, like below the bottom platform. That's the catwalk where they fix the waveguide to the horns. But yep, there's the tower from different angles. And yeah, I got tons of pictures of this tower. So it's painted silver right after they took the horns off and took the building down. Now, halfway up the tower inside it, there's this big platform that's full of stuff, and I never seen something like that before, but they probably used that to hoist up the cell phone antennas, and there's the FH324 on the very top. Alright, so I outlined blue squares where the buildings had stood. So, you'd see why they took the building but still kept the Longlines Tower. Because the Longlines Tower is not big enough to interfere with all these houses. So the buildings had to go because they're building houses right here now. And here's where the guide wires to the guide tower would go. Now they took the guide wire tower down because these houses here, if they kept the guide wires up, it would interfere with these houses because they were right in the way of the construction zone for putting up these houses. So that's why some of this stuff had to be taken down. But yep, it's good to see this Longlines Tower still remaining today.